Hello and welcome to PlayStation Racer. My name is Mitchell Morgan and I have a rant video for you today, something that I never ever thought that I would do. But there you go, you never know what's coming with me. I have hesitated to produce this video, but this week's weekly challenge races have just driven me crazy. I know that I will get flamed for releasing this video, but I feel that this needs to be said, and maybe, just maybe, Polyphony Digital might see this video and make a subtle change for the better, at least in my opinion. So let's get into this one. I bought my first PlayStation, a PS1, back in 1988 after seeing Gran Turismo, which featured the exact car that I was driving at the time, and that was a Subaru Impreza wagon. So for over 35 years, Gran Turismo has been my go-to game, with only the occasional look at Formula 1, I think 3 times in that period. So Gran Turismo has been the one consistent game that I play regularly and that I consistently play throughout that period. Now, although GT is simply brilliant, the game has had its problems over the years, but since playing online in Gran Turismo 7, those issues have become more and more apparent to me. We all know about the woeful penalty system. On Friday, I outbraked myself, a pure accident, but I punted a car into the gravel and I didn't even receive a penalty. Why? Just take a look at Rory's latest video where he talks about being robbed, and you have yet another crazy example of a race loss owing to a penalty mistake in the game. It happens all of the time. Then towards the end of this week, I learned of people's DR being reset, and that has to be a massive hit to your motivation and an invitation to go elsewhere. I even heard of a report of one of the PSR community who went from an A+, or very nearly an A+, to a B in one race, and that was a race that they won without any penalties whatsoever. However, for me, and as you're seeing on the screen right now, one of the biggest letdowns in the whole of the game has to be the road circuit races. Until you go racing online, and this is where a lot of people spend a lot of time racing the AI, it is a proving ground, it is a learning ground. It is a massive part of the game. Maybe PD have better, more informed minds than me, and they probably have good reasons why they choose the weekly challenge races that they do. And if anyone out there knows what that reasoning is, please let me know in the comments. It might actually make me feel a little bit better about doing these weekly challenges each week. In the meantime, bear with me and let's get into why I think that the weekly challenges are the most lacking feature in the game. And you've just seen a classic example of what I'm about to get into. Now, firstly, I've always felt that the World Circuit races were lacking and not competitive in any way, shape or form. Some are difficult and some are rewarding, but most are just way too easy and they do not pose a challenge at all. I see that in the views of my videos of these races. Some get many views and others get next to none. And this has to be down to how easy some are and how hard others are. PD, let's get some consistency in the game that will challenge people and help people to improve their skills. As you're seeing in these first 2 races, I've jumped into a super fast car. I'm racing out of my class and well, we got into the first corner ahead of the field in the first race, and I'm only barely halfway round this lap and I'm already in 4th position. Now 3rd racing these cars. We really need to get more of a challenge. Now, as someone that has completed all of the World Circuit races on the hard settings, these weekly challenges based on the World Circuit races are simply a grind, as I'm grinding them out now on the easy settings. As a grind, just not for credits, but more to simply fill those circles on the world map with ticks. That's all I do. I grind them so that my OCD is satisfied. So when I boot up the game, I can see those check marks and those little circles are filled. For most of us, it is simply a case of racing through those 5 races as quickly as possible, bagging the credits and moving on. There is no challenge, no real reward. They are, in my opinion, largely pointless. I'd be better off spending an hour grinding for credits at Sedegna, at Le Mans or Tokyo, and having the challenge of trying to lap all of those people. And don't get me started on the rewards. The races, regardless of their skill level, get you to 1 million credits one week and 300,000 the next, and a car in that week. Now the car is a nice reward, but an hour the other week for a £30,000 car that I'll likely never use, I found it can be completely pointless and a waste of my time. This week, I did get a £500 Tomahawk, which was nice, but I simply sold that for the credits and ended up with 800,000 credits for an hour's mindless driving around tracks. I'm really starting to realise that these are not worth my time, but they really, really could be. But it's not just the rewards. What I really find ridiculous is the way that you can run these races. For me, they are a grinding exercise. I put the difficulty on easy, jump into the fastest car and hammer around the track, trying to lap everyone as many times as possible. Again, as you are seeing in this video, I am so far ahead in first place, and we're only halfway around the second lap. They really are pointless. There is no educational benefit to this. There's no challenge, nothing. In fact, as I have more recently found, and this is what makes my blood really boil, they actually hurt your skills. Personally, I found the transition from racing the AI to real people very hard, and I see other people struggling in the same way. The AI in these races is predictable, so easy to pass with a faster car, and these races are so very different to online racing, which is where many of us end up in the fullness of time and where this game really comes alive. I think that these World Circuit races, and in particular the weekly challenges, should be configured so that they test us and prepare us for online real world racing. The World Circuit races and the weekly challenges, for me, they fail on so many counts. For most of us, the races, you can grab a fast car and just overtake everyone into the first corner and then just carry on grinding, as I'm showing. There's no educational benefit. There's no racecraft development. There's no challenge. There is nothing. And there are no real rewards with regards to grinding and our personal development whatsoever. Yes, people can set the difficulty to hard. Yes, people can choose a competitive car. Yes, people can choose a slower car, and very often I will do that. But for a lot of us, it is just a pure mindless grinding exercise. But really, if you've already done these challenges on the hard, as I've just said, it just becomes a mindless credit grind and a box ticking exercise, nothing more. So it is easy for me to sit here and rant whilst you watch me charging around in a fast car, trying to grind these out as fast as possible. But what do I think is really needed? As a long-time Gran Turismo racer, I believe that we need a few simple challenges to make these races more engaging and more rewarding. Firstly, encourage people to race these races on the harder settings. It doesn't matter if you're running on the easy settings or the hard settings. The credit rewards for the weekly challenges appear to be the same. At least the credit rewards so that you can get credits for racing on the harder settings that you use would be better. That, I would have thought, would be common sense. So if you're running on the easy settings, you get a lower amount of credits than if you are running on the harder settings. How difficult would that be? PD, if you're finding that people are struggling with these races, then introduce a super easy setting. I'm only a B rank racer and I can do most of these on hard. How about a hard plus with an even higher number of credits for the A and the A plus races? Make these more of a challenging and then reward us thus. But in my opinion, the biggest problem is with the car choice that you're allowed to make. Why am I allowed to take a Ferrari VGT to race against a VW Beetle or a Samba bus? What is the point in that? Why does the game even allow that, other than to enable beginners to make some quick credits? In the race that we're running at the moment, this is a Porsche challenge. But again, look how easy it is for me to get through the field. on the easy settings. And I'm doing the easy settings again because there's no benefit to me, both in racecraft, in personal development, or more rewards to put myself onto the harder settings. But leaving the credits aside for the moment, I strongly believe that enabling people to choose an outclass car is hurting people who are learning to race. At least make us choose a competitive car and make us work for the win. You saw in the first 2 races, I was in a ridiculously fast car and blitzed around those tracks mindlessly without really thinking. Again, these are all just my opinions as a long-time player, but in my opinion, this is simply a missed opportunity for PD to put together some brilliant combinations of cars and tracks and to challenge people and to prepare them for the world of online racing. I don't know if PD already do, but if they don't, how about engaging with some of the top racers in the game, getting them to put together combinations that really will challenge people. I've already mentioned a tier reward system for racing on harder settings, but what about using Sophie-based races and only allowing competitive cars like in the World Touring Car PP limited races, and throw in more weather-based races and some with more strategy? All too often I go from last to first through a race simply by not pitting when the AI pits. That should not be possible, and it's just not realistic in my opinion. If the AI needs to pit, I should need to pit. If I don't need to pit, the AI shouldn't need to pit. So come on PD, let's get some thought behind these weekly challenges and make them a feature of the game that we look forward to each week rather than just a pointless, silly money grind. So rant over. I still love this game regardless, and I'll keep coming back for more and more. The graphics are wonderful, the gameplay is wonderful, racing online is brilliant. PD do a fantastic job, and I will continue to be a Gran Turismo fan. It's just a few little tweaks in this game that could really put it on top and get the rest of the competition scratching their heads and stopping people from moving from Gran Turismo into ACC, iRacing and others. Anyway, that's it for this one. I'll catch you on another video or live stream very soon. Ta-ta for now.